I do not think you should be taking your A-levels or your GCSEs lightly at all. A-levels and GCSEs are actually so important. They dictate what you have as options to do in the future. Take me, for example. I got 5 9s, 2 8s, a 7 and a 6, 1 A star, 2 A's at A-level. But if I got a 5 in English language, then I wouldn't even be studying medicine right now. Do not take them lightly. And I'm going to show you exactly how you can save your GCSEs or your A-levels. You've got plenty of time. Just listen to what I'm saying. These 5 things will absolutely transform your grades. I promise you that. There's no cutting corners here. If you want good grades, you're gonna have to work for it. There is a way which you can get maximum returns on the effort that you put in. Hi, my name's Sunny. I'm currently a 3rd year in medical school. I'm gonna tell you exactly how to do that. First of all, you need to learn to focus. I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna be tough for you guys because luckily TikTok wasn't really around when I was taking my GCSEs. It was when I was doing my A-levels, but I was never really on it like that. But attention spans have definitely gotten shorter. There are definitely things that you can do to help you gain more focus. Focus is a skill. You're not going to be terrible at focus today and amazing at focus tomorrow. No, you're gonna have to go through the trenches with this one and endure the annoyance of actually not being able to focus when you begin this. If you keep trying, I promise you, you will see noticeable changes in your focus. So what exactly do you need to do to get better at focusing? Number 1, get rid of your phone. This thing is the first and probably the biggest barrier to you actually improving your grades. Shock, you probably knew that, but let's just be clear. You need to get rid of your phone. When you're studying, put your phone out of reach. Put your phone out of sight. Don't even put it in the same room as you. Some people even need to turn their phones off. But for those of you who have a lot more self-control, you can use the feature on your phone which locks the apps which you most go to. Or you can just delete the social media apps when you go to study. But honestly, I think the easiest one is just putting your phone outside of the room. That way, as soon as you get up or try to reach for your phone, you're gonna be like, oh, I can't reach it. And that should stop you. If that doesn't stop you, then I don't think much will. So I don't know what you guys are gonna do. Another way you're going to improve your focus is by using this technique called the Pomodoro technique. If you've not heard of this before, it's basically the concept of having focus blocks followed by much smaller blocks of relax. So for example, we would say, okay, I'm going to sit down to study. Using the Pomodoro method, I'm going to work for 25 minutes of intense focus, no distractions whatsoever. Phone in the room next door closed, me at my desk. For 25 minutes straight, locked in. 25-minute timer stops, break time. For 5 minutes, I get to go on my phone, I get to walk, I get to leave my desk. But once that 5 minutes is over, for the next 25 minutes again, I'm back. Usually I would do this for about 4 repetitions. So 25, 25, 25, 25. 3 5-minute breaks in between those, and then have a longer break after the 4th 25. You will be so surprised about how much work you can get done in those 4 25 minutes. And the weird thing is those 25 minutes go by so fast because you're so focused. As time goes on, you're going to be able to extend the time of focus from 25 minutes to greater length. The most I would do though is 50 minutes. 50 minutes of focus, 10 minutes break. I don't think you should go on for more than 50 minutes because I think you're actually not as concentrated as you think by that point. And you definitely need a break. You definitely need to switch off and then get back into the zone. And an app which I found super useful for kind of motivating me and kind of gamifying using the Pomodoro technique and also locking my phone is the Forest app. So the way it works is every time you start your Pomodoro timer, it'll grow a tree. Whilst the tree is growing, your phone is locked. And if you unlock your phone or use your phone, then you'll kill your tree. And the tree that you grow will go into a forest which you have, i.e. the name of the game. But if you kill the tree, then you will just have a dead, whittled tree in your forest. And everyone will be able to see that you couldn't focus for the amount of time which you said you would. And that's embarrassing. So that is step 1, learn to focus. Step 2 is learn to prioritize. Back in my example at the beginning of the video, where I said I got all those 9s, I got all those 8s, But really and truly, there were only a few of those GCSEs that actually mattered. This is probably going to be the same for you. There are so many GCSEs that you have to study for, and I had 10 different exams to prepare for. It absolutely did my head in, because how am I supposed to switch from topic to topic? Like, there's not enough hours in the day to study all of these as much as I actually want to. So you have to prioritize what GCSEs are important to what you want to do in the future, because they can't all be important. We don't all care about PE, we don't all care about DT. We chose them because we had to choose them. But I think what everyone has to prioritize, probably one science, maybe two, maths and English. I think if you have 6 core GCSEs that you focus on, and 4 which you don't really care about, or 4 which you're not in danger of failing, then prioritize the 6. These are the 6 which you want to maximize your results in, because it's really important to make your strengths as strong as you can, and then this is going to be the best use of your time for those 6. By prioritizing them, what are we actually going to do to make sure that we're studying efficiently? What we're going to do is find out what we don't know. Sonny, how do we find out what we don't know if we don't know it? What a great question. This is when you go online, you type in your exam board, you type in the subject, and you find the syllabus for your subject. What is a syllabus? A syllabus is the entire content list for the subject which your school has been teaching you. They use this to plan their lessons. They use this to guide them in what to teach you for your exams. Your exams are based off this syllabus. So it would make sense that if you know everything which is on this syllabus, you will know everything that's going to be on the test, or at least you'll recognize everything, which is really good. So I want you to take a highlighter or a pen, use the traffic light system through this syllabus. This is when you mark or highlight the different points within the syllabus: red, amber, or green. Green is I know this. Amber is I recognize this, but I actually couldn't tell you much about it. And red is I've never heard about this, never seen this in my life. Is this even on the course? That's what you go red with. After you've done that through one topic, or maybe the entire syllabus, now you know the priority list of what you need to spend your time studying. See, we don't want to waste our time studying the things that are green because they're green. You already know that. You already know those things. It's the amber and red, but particularly the red, that we want to focus on, because we want to leak as few marks during the exam as possible. Exams are literally about who can drop the least marks rather than who can score the most marks. When you think about it like that, it's like everything, it kind of shifts your focus from I need to get 6 out of 6 on every 6-mark question, from I just need to steal as many points as I can from these questions. And that's a much more fun game to play and a lot less stressful game to play. So definitely visualize your exams like that. How many marks can I steal from this question? Warning, studying is now going to become a lot more difficult. When you use the RAG method, you're going to encounter a lot of, what's the word that I'm looking for? Internal discomfort, because you're going to be constantly showing yourself something you don't know. You're going to be constantly putting effort to learn something which you don't know, which you keep getting wrong. And that's going to be uncomfortable, but it's the thing you need to do to improve your grades. You're not going to improve your grades by studying something you already know, by getting 3 out of 3 on a 3-mark question which you've already answered 3 times. No. You're going to increase your grade by getting a question wrong, finding out what you don't know, and then learning it. That's how you get marks. That's how you get better. So we know how to focus. We've prioritized our exams, and we know of our prioritized exams what we need to study. So now what do we do to study? You've got a few different options here. The number one thing you can do to study at A-level and at GCSE are do past papers. Past papers should be your best friends. Why? Because past papers are an exact replica from the exam board to you of the exam that's going to be in front of you. This is so good because it gets you used to the style of question. It gets you used to how they word things. It gets you used to the mark schemes. They give you the answers. Past papers should be your best friend. They should be your number one way of studying. This can also be just like question packs that you get from your teachers, but trust me, past papers are the way to go forward. You've got your rag list, you've got your past paper, or you've got your question pack. You can either do this open book with the red questions, which you don't know. So have your best try at answering the question that you don't know, and then find the mark scheme and fill it in a different color. Or you can go all in and sit the entire exam paper in exam conditions and then go through and mark it yourself and identify the areas which you got wrong and write notes on the questions that you got wrong using the mark scheme. The mark scheme is so good because it concisely distills the information they want to get out of you. From a 6-mark question, for example, in science, where a lot of us will just waffle for time, the mark scheme will just have 7, maybe 8 bullet points as to what it wants you to include in your answer. Just saved you loads of time. Beautiful. Past papers are really good. They give you a huge exposure to all of your ragged questions. You'll see some of your green questions in there, you'll see some of your amber questions in there, and you'll see your red questions in there as well. So they're really good for exposure. As well as that, the mark schemes, like I mentioned before, the mark schemes literally tell you exactly what you need to know. If you learn the mark schemes, you're going to be that much closer to increasing your grades and saving your A-levels or your GCSEs. And lastly, the repetition, which is my 4th point, spaced repetition. Spaced repetition is the theory that, well, it's not even a theory, it's literally the truth. It's the idea that combats this other phenomenon called the forgetting curve. Now, the forgetting curve explains that when you receive a piece of information, the rate at which you lose this information, being the amount of information you lose across a period of time, is very quick. So you have a very steep forgetting curve. However, if you were to revisit this information at some point along the forgetting curve, you will then be topped up back to 100% knowledge. And then this weird thing happens where the rate of forgetting after your second repetition is less steep than your first. And if you interrupt that forgetting curve a 3rd time, the curve gets even more horizontal, and a 4th and a 5th and a 6th. So we can see that the more you review information, the slower the rate of forgetting said information becomes. And this is why doing past papers is so good. Because of the broad range of questions that it asks you, you get a high review rate or high repetition rate of similar topics. But also you need to manufacture this into your own way of studying. For example, when planning your revision, you need to make sure that you don't leave a 2-week gap between studying maths, because whatever you revise on the first day, 2 weeks later, you're probably forgetting it because you've probably studied something that was red because you didn't know it, because you want to use your time wisely. But then if you go 2 weeks later and review it again, then you won't remember it because you didn't know it to begin with. And so what you needed to do was review it maybe the next day, maybe 2 days later max, to make sure that it consolidates. Once you've reviewed it 2-3 times, then you can leave the gaps between reviewing them to be even longer. Think of it like this. If you don't do spaced repetition, it's like putting balls in a bag that have a hole in it. Yeah, the balls are in the bag for a moment of time, but as you move the bag, as you go to pick up another ball, the balls at the bottom just get pushed out. It's literally information through one ear and out the other. So to stop this, to patch up the hole in your bag, you need to review the information again, and then a little bit later, and then a little bit later. And the fact that you're using past papers is so good because you're using this other technique called active recall. Now, this is when you don't simply read information because that's too passive. The information is in front of you, you're not recalling it, you're recognizing it. Past papers are good for this. Flashcards are also very good for this. So get on Quizlet, find yourself a A-level biology flashcard pack on a specific topic, do the same for your GCSEs and run through those. And I think a great way to set up your revision schedule, which is point 5 on how you're going to save your GCSEs, is to mimic that of what your timetable for your lectures already is. particularly for GCSEs, because you've got so many topics to kind of balance, that you might as well kind of layer on top the topics which you're going to revise that evening. It kind of makes things easier. Remove the subjects which you're not prioritizing. Replace those new empty spaces with the subjects which you'd like more frequency of revising, implementing that spaced repetition. So the schedule, make a schedule and stick to it. Stick to the schedule. Get your teachers to help make you a schedule. Get your parents to help make you a schedule. But you need to follow a plan. The reason you need to follow a plan is because there are going to be days which you're going to be like, I don't know what to study. And the thing is, the human mind is very clever, and it's not going to like the fact that you've been studying all of those hard topics that you don't know, that you've been using active recall and spaced repetition to pound away at the information you don't know, because that's difficult. It's going to pick an easy subject and an easy topic to study because that's easy. You're going to plan what you're going to study in advance, and then you're going to stick to that. And the way you're going to plan it is by checking what subjects you want to improve the most and what topics within those subjects are read. And you're going to go from there. I'm going to be honest, guys, this is going to be a bold claim, but I think almost no matter what starting point you're at, you can get between an 8 or a 9 if you follow all these steps. I 100% believe that. And so all you need to do now is go back to the beginning of the video and watch the part where I tell you to get rid of your phone, and you'll be fine. Here's a playlist on GCSEs and a video or a playlist for A-level videos on how to revise for them and how I got my grades. I'll catch you guys in the next video.